Today on Game Talk Live, we're dissecting the evolution of Battle Royale. From deceptive hackers to concerned parents, the genre is quickly becoming a minefield for gamers and developers alike. Let's queue up. I'm Andy Roman, and welcome to Game Talk Live, where we discuss the biggest video game news of the day, live with help from our chat audience. Joining me now are three expert guests to discuss these gaming topics and more. First up is Lila. Lila, aka Pixzy, is a partnered Twitch streamer and an H1Z1 solo player for Impact Gaming. She is most well known for her graphic design in the H1 community, as well as her participation in past H1Z1 competitions. Hi, Lila.
Hi, thanks for having me back again. Good to see you.
Likewise. Also joining us today is Saira. Saira Mueller is the managing editor of Dotesports, the leading esports news site. Welcome to the show, Saira.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And also joining us today is Dante Douglas, a writer and video games critic whose work has been featured on a number of websites, including Paste Magazine, Waypoint, and Polygon, among other outlets. Hi, Dante.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, let's hop into today's first topic. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the granddaddy of the Battle Royale craze, but they've been losing ground to Fortnite for months now. In an effort to take back some of its fan base, PUBG Corp has been implementing changes and updates and cracking down on cheaters and traders. So how will PUBG shutting down skin trading impact the player base? Will it deter some folks from playing if they know they can't swap or make money off skins? Saira, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely affect the game's popularity a little bit. As you see in Counter-Strike, trading skins is a huge thing, and it's part of the reason why a lot of people play it is to make money off that. At the same time, you've seen a lot of controversy come from that, and so I can kind of see why PUBG Corp is trying to crack down on this specific issue while it's sort of in the early stages. Personally, I don't think it should be a thing. I don't think skin trading should be allowed. That's just my personal thought, though.
It shouldn't be allowed at all, or should it be allowed just within the confines of the game, just between friends or people on your friends list?
Yeah, just within your friends, just within your personal friends. I mean, people can always get around it, right? You could friend someone that you want to sell a skin to, and then trade it to them and then get money some other way. There's always a way around it, but doing it, cutting down on the way it's done in-game and through Steam at the moment is a good way to sort of circumvent that a little bit.
So is this better overall for the PUBG community? How does this external economy affect the, quote, genuine player base? Dante, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is something that is overall, I'm going to agree with Saira here and say that I think this is something that is overall kind of poisonous to the game as a whole. What we're looking at here is this meta economy that's happening outside of what is the real game of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And what you see a lot is, I think it opens the door to profiteering. It opens the door to people, creating these shadow economies of trading and selling skins that I don't really see does anything for the game. I agree also, though, that if there's no way to get around this without also making a barrier between legitimate trading, right? Trading between friends. I'm not sure how you would do this. I know that when we look at other games like Overwatch has, of course, a lot of famous skins that people love, and there's absolutely no trading in Overwatch. I've heard some criticisms of that, but I think that overall that's might be the way to go.
Lila, someone that plays a lot of H1 that also has an external skins economy, do you think it would be in, say, Daybreak's best interest to combat this kind of secondary market for skin sales?
I think with PUBG, I think it would be better for them to even make it trade locked for account bound skins. So if there's something that you obtain through accomplishments within the game, or getting kills or getting wins, and that's how you get those skins, I think they should be account bound to you and not be able to trade or sell them.
Sure. Is this just a tactic for Bluehole to figure out how to pocket more or all of the revenue made from skins? Lila, what do you think?
It's a possibility, but I think it's more to combat cheaters and keep them from being able to make money off of cheating through their skins.
Sure. Dante, do you agree?
I would say so. I don't know. I also know that PUBG at this point is probably scrambling to figure out how to retain as much profitability as they had in their early days. I could see them possibly looking towards legitimizing a sort of skin trading system as being a way to recoup some of those funds. I don't know for sure. I definitely think that PUBG as a corporation right now is probably, a little bit wondering how best to monetize their current player base.
Sure. So the Xbox version of PUBG is quite a ways behind its PC counterpart. How does this hurt the PUBG community on Xbox? Saira, do you think they feel a little left out from all the updates that the PC crowd gets?
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but at the same time, the Xbox version was pushed later than the PC version, so it makes sense that it would be a little bit further behind. At the same time, there are a lot of barriers to entry when it comes to console games. You have to go through the developer of that console to be able to make it into the live version. So that's always going to take a little bit longer. Yes, it's unfortunate. Maybe Bluehole needs a bigger... what's the word that I'm looking for? Like a bigger staff just for Xbox, but at the same time, if they are losing money, there's no way to really do that without putting a lot of extra funds into the actual development of the game.
Sure. So H1Z1 recently announced it's coming to PlayStation 4 this month. Lila, what do you think this is going to do for the H1 community? Are we going to see this kind of reinvigoration of the brand and people excited to try H1 maybe for the first time?
I think with Fortnite's accomplishments through console games, it's really made it a lot more mainstream just because a lot of kids don't have access to those high-end PCs. And I think that H1 being on console might help it out in a way that lets people have more access to it, because I think it's going to be free on PS4 as well. And I think that Battle Royale might be a lot bigger on console altogether. So I can definitely see a lot more success in PS4 than on PC.
Sure.
And I've already seen a lot of hype for it right now.
Mm-hmm. Dante, would you say that that's the case where the console gamers have really built up Battle Royale as this giant genre rather than maybe its roots on PC?
I'm not sure I would go that far. I definitely think that there's an untapped audience for Battle Royale on console. That's definitely for sure. I mean, when we look at the history of Battle Royale games, right, we're looking at a lot of PC games that kind of spun off each other, and then we got to PUBG, and then we got to Fortnite, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of those games just have an entrenched audience that already know what they're looking for. The console audience, I think, is just more of they've heard their friends talking about it who have their gaming PCs, and someone might just have a PS4, and now they're looking at the opportunity to be able to play a game like H1Z1 or like PUBG on Xbox One. I don't think it'll necessarily be. I think that we might be looking at a higher number of players that are on console who want Battle Royale games. I'm not sure that they are the core audience, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So recently, 15 cheaters were arrested in China for PUBG. So is this arrest really enough to kind of combat the sheer volume of hacks and cheats that exist for PUBG? Is it just a good start, or is it ridiculous to assume this arrest will make a dent in the cheating that plagues PUBG? Saira?
I think it's a good start. It shows that they're really cracking down and they're taking this very, very seriously. I think it's a long road. I don't think we're anywhere near there yet. The fact that they've fined them, $5.1 million between 15 people, that's a lot of money. So I can definitely see that sort of deterring people more, but I don't think we're anywhere near there yet.
Right. Are we only talking about this now because players' personal information was at risk? This wasn't just like aim bots and things like that. There were Trojans and things like that coming in. Saira, do you want to elaborate? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's it necessarily. I think hacking and cheating in games has been a huge thing for quite a while, and it's been a thing in PUBG since very close to the start. I don't know. I remember even just a few weeks in seeing people saying that they weren't going to play the game anymore because it just wasn't fun. They kept running into people that were hacking, and it just wasn't the same experience as it used to be. So I think, yes, that in some ways brought it more to the forefront, but I don't think that's the sole reason why.
Sure. Is cheating just to be expected in highly competitive games? Lila, especially PC games, I should stipulate.
I think it's a little bit easier to access cheats on PC more than console, just because they're a lot more easily accessible, especially on in like Eastern Asia because gaming is so huge there, and cheats for pretty much every game are so easily accessible. And I think that's the biggest thing is just cracking down on where they come from, and that's like pretty much the only way anybody's gonna do anything about it besides like, you know, arresting people and taking legal action against them.
Have you had to deal with any cheaters in H1Z1?
I think right now the player base on North America is a little bit lower, so usually late at night I'll be playing on Asian servers, and there is a lot of cheaters. Yeah.
So while PUBG is struggling to combat cheaters, H1Z1 is hoping to regain their throne as the Battle Royale Kings with the H1Z1 Pro League. Could esports elevate a brand to new heights? Is this a tactic to bring new players in or maybe older players back? Dante?
I'm not sure personally that Battle Royale is going to be a huge esports game, not because I don't think it's fun to play or watch or anything like that, but because of the way that Battle Royale is structured. It's hard for players to necessarily go from someone who dies at position 100 to dies at position 1 in any sort of like ramp that's fun to watch. I think what'll happen is not just the sheer logistics of running a Battle Royale championship being difficult, but you're going to run into it's hard to craft narratives that are interesting.
Saira, do you agree? Or do you think esports could be the key into elevating Battle Royale even further?
I agree 100%. I think what we've seen so far from Battle Royale esports is that the observing is a huge part of the overall experience and what's going to really bring in the audience, and that's been a huge issue so far. I think PUBG is sort of getting there a little bit more at the moment, or the last few broadcasts have been better than they were at the start. But I don't see esports being this huge call that brings like a lot of people back to a specific game, right? Like for me, I think the development of the mobile versions of the game is more likely to do that than the esports version, at least for the next few years.
Sure. And Lila, what's been your thoughts around the H1Z1 Pro League so far, especially as a competitive player?
I think compared to Fortnite and PUBG competitively, I think it's a lot more interesting to watch just because of the production of the show and the way they kind of go about behind the players and behind the teams themselves and the organizations. It kind of goes a little bit more in depth, and I feel like H1 is a lot more easier to follow and more entertaining than Fortnite and PUBG just to watch in general. But yeah, I can definitely see a little bit more success with it coming here soon.
Sure. All right, guys, it's time to take a quick break. But before we do, I want to ask our viewers to leave a comment or send us a tweet at Game Talk Live, letting us know what topics you'd like to see us discuss on the show. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Todd. We're going to be playing some H1Z1, and a lot of you out there are going to be able to win some prizes by guessing when our guests die. Sasha, are you ready to go play some H1Z1?
Let's do this.
I think we've seen this story before.
We got a lot of guests tonight from all over the world. They're competing for a trophy, our Champion of the Night prize. Which one of you is going to be the best player tonight?
Anybody that comes in my way is done.
Get a helmet, get a backpack, get a rifle.
Kill everyone.
Kill that person.
Engage.
Kill. Oh my God!
I give the people what they want to see.
Oh my God!
Oh wow, he took a big hit. He got a gun!
Can you throw me in like the Norwegian server or like someplace where they're just not gonna find me?
No.
Did I die first?
No one's died that early in the game ever.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Articles by multiple UK news outlets have reported this week that kids are spending too much time staring at screens, and adults are blaming popular titles like Fortnite. But using video games as a scapegoat is nothing new. You could easily replace Fortnite with Super Mario Brothers, World of Warcraft, etc. So when does that become a problem, and whose fault is it? Dante?
I gotta say, I don't think it's much of a problem. I view that this is the same type of fear-mongering that we see in any sort of new culture. This is, we saw the same thing with, you know, hip-hop music in the 90s. We saw it with video games since video games have been around. When I see reports like these, what I mostly see is, well, I think that these parents generally are not understanding these child's interests. They may be not understanding other things going on in that child's life. For example, why is this kid playing Fortnite all the time? Is it because they feel like school's not engaging? Is it because they feel like they don't have enough opportunities? Like, there's a million reasons why kids especially would escape into these sort of virtual worlds.
Sure. So let's talk about Fortnite a little bit here and what makes it so popular. I mean, Saira, why do you think this is kind of just like a perfect storm of an addictive game that's just taken, I feel like, the gaming space by storm?
Yeah, I mean, it took me by storm. I started with H1Z1 for a little while. I went to PUBG and then pretty much immediately moved to Fortnite when the Battle Royale mode came out. I think, or at least for me, and I think this might be true for more like the general population, it's the graphics. It's, you know, that sort of World of Warcraft style, cartoonish fun that PUBG and H1Z1 with their more realistic graphics don't really give you. I think the building as well, which, mind you, I have not figured out myself. I'm still terrible at Fortnite.
Same.
But I think that
I'm with you on that.
I think it gives it a more interesting element that a lot of people didn't have before, and it changes the macro of the game completely. So I think it's the graphics mixed with the sort of building element that has sort of taken over.
Sure. So is Fortnite maybe an easy sell to parents because of its art style? Lila, what do you think?
I definitely think the friendly style of Fortnite really gains a little bit more attraction for parents to let their kids play, opposed to like PUBG or H1Z1, where it's a little bit more realistic and you know, the guns look more real and killing people looks more real. And so I think parents will be more okay with Fortnite compared to the other games just because of that.
Sure. And Dante, what can you attribute some of Fortnite's success to? Is it accessibility? Is it the graphics? What do you think?
I view it as a bit of both, for sure. I definitely think that the graphics is one big part of it. It looks cartoony. It looks fun. It looks like the type of game that you could give to a kid and not worry about it looking too violent. I think the other big part of this, though, is the accessibility. Fortnite's free to play, and I noticed that other games are sort of hopping on that train now as well. H1Z1 is, of course, now free to play. I think that was a huge part of the game's popularity. That, coupled with, like I said, the accessibility of the graphics, makes this game just look like a game that, as a 14-year-old, I would love. It's Minecraft, and it's got guns. And all my friends are playing it because it's free. So...
Sure. So the Battle Royale mode of Fortnite is free to play, but the base game for console is $60 and can be purchased via retailers like GameStop. Do you think parents, ignorant to the different modes, are getting suckered into dropping $60 on a game? Saira?
I don't think so, honestly.
No?
I can't imagine many parents are going out and buying Fortnite for their kids. I feel like kids are way more on the forefront of knowing what it is they want and asking for it, or just doing it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Or playing on their phones.
Exactly.
Yeah. So speaking about Fortnite Mobile, is this just a small part of maybe a bigger problem of young people spending more and more time staring at mobile devices from an early age, whether it's at social media, YouTube, or on Twitch? Lila, what do you think?
I think with the way technology is progressing right now, kids are going to grow up with technology, you know, and I might be biased, but I'm completely okay with being on electronics and gaming all the time. But I do think there should be a healthy balance between, you know, gaming and activities outside of the house.
Sure. So does this fall back on parents, Dante? I mean, should they be closely monitoring what their kids are looking at on mobile?
I mean, I agree and I disagree. I guess, like, yeah, I think that, of course, parents should know what their kids are ingesting on a base level. I don't think it's super healthy for a parent to necessarily, like, police everything that's going through a kid's phone. I don't think that's a good way to imbue trust with your kids. I think a lot of these problems, when we talk about the fears of children being on YouTube or on Twitch or whatever, I think a lot of them are things that the platforms should honestly deal with. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about, of course, like bigotry or slurs or hateful language, the type of stuff that we keep seeing these headlines about. And that's really, I think, a bigger problem than kids watching Twitch. It's Twitch or YouTube or whatever not having good enough moderation to deal with these more harmful elements.
Mm-hmm. Saira, can we put any, say, blame on Epic, or should they be responsible in any way for keeping kids maybe off Fortnite at certain times, or a warning, something?
I mean, that goes exactly against their interests, right? Like, you want people watching your game, you want people playing your game. That's never going to be on the game developer themselves. The only thing I would say to that point is that a lot of kids have been watching and or playing Battle Royale games in school. And I think, to me, that's a bigger issue than a lot of it. Yes, the hateful language slurs, whatever, on Twitch and YouTube are bad, but I think having kids literally take time out of their education to be watching people streaming online is something that we need to figure out a way to combat. And I feel like that must be on the schools. I can't see any other way to do it, but how we go about that, I'm not exactly sure.
Right. All right, guys, we're going to take another break, but we're coming right back to talk about some new contenders in the Battle Royale genre.
We have 75 players each year. Let me hear you make some noise.
Welcome back, everybody. Battle Royale is the hot genre of the moment, and game devs are often quick to jump on the latest trends. Most recently, Boss Key announced Radical Heights, and Mobile Battle Right is adding their own mode, and there are even rumors about Red Dead Redemption 2 jumping on the bandwagon. Will this genre have lasting power, and when do we reach the point of saturation? Lila, why don't you start us off?
I think that Battle Royale games still have a little bit more room to grow, and I think that if done correctly and not just a copy paste of the other Battle Royale games, it'll really bring something new and really bring something interesting that people are going to be, excited to get into. I think it'll be successful with other companies jumping on it, but I don't know. It all depends on the execution for real.
Sure. Saira, do you agree? Is this going to be a lasting trend, or does it have a shelf life?
I think it's going to be a lasting trend. I think we are sort of getting to the point of saturation, but at the same time, it's the same thing with the MOBA genre. It's the same thing with the first-person shooter genre. Everyone sees the success and they want to get into it immediately. I remember sitting in the Activision Blizzard earnings call the other day, and they mentioned Fortnite maybe every 5 minutes. I'm not even joking. It was like constant. They're obviously watching the genre. They're really paying attention to it. They've mentioned that they're looking to maybe bring it to some of their existing IP. There are rumors about Call of Duty and Destiny. So I think that shows you just how far this genre is going. When they're trying to add this mode to existing games that have been around and have been popular for so many years, you can tell that this is just something that's going to keep continuing.
So speaking of Call of Duty and titles like Destiny or Battlefield, which are already kind of kings in the first-person shooter genre, should they be trying to make their mark in Battle Royale, or should they stay in their own lane? Dante?
I agree with Saira on this too. I think we'd known that this was going to happen, right? This has just been a matter of time, especially as these things start blowing up, is in the case of Fortnite. Do I think they should stay in their own lane? No. They're AAA shooters. They're going to do the thing that makes them the most money, and I don't really see that as a problem. Battle Royale could be really cool in these games. What I think is most interesting is kind of going to see who does it first and how they're adapting the IP to fit it. You could argue that Fortnite actually did it first, given that it was based off of a single player mode, but we haven't seen someone like Call of Duty. We haven't seen someone like Battlefield do it.
Mm-hmm. So with the genre split across so many different titles, will each one have enough players to populate servers that require, say, over 100 people in some games? Lila?
Oh yeah, I think 100%. If the game is interesting enough, it will acquire more players. I don't think it really matters about, it's the same thing on Twitch. Like if somebody else gets lots of viewers, they're not taking viewers away from you. So I definitely think that, it's not going to affect the player base at all.
Yep, that's a great point. So Fortnite announced today they would be partnering with Marvel for an Avengers Infinity War event. Are you surprised it took this long for a branded collaboration between Fortnite and a big-name IP? Saira?
One, I absolutely love this collaboration, and I love how it started. The fact that the Marvel guys were basically like, hey, we play this game all the time, let's do something. And I think the only way that's going to continue is is on that typical entertainment side, right? A lot of these guys do play games, but maybe they don't necessarily think about doing crossovers, or they don't have the time to really think about it because, you know, they're editing a giant movie. But I would love to see more of this. I would love to see it across even games that aren't in the Battle Royale genre. It just makes more sense, I think, in the Battle Royale genre.
Sure. So is there a dream franchise you'd like to see have skins added into your favorite Battle Royale title? So I'm going to have everyone answer. And Dante, I'd like to start with you. And you let me know what skins you would love to see added.
Oh gosh. Okay. Oh man, I'm not even sure about this. I think that a lot of these. I think that a lot of these crossovers
you can pick anything.
Okay. Let's get some Star Wars. I would love to see some Star Wars stuff in a Battle Royale.
All right, Saira, what do you got?
I've got to go with Lord of the Rings. I have to.
Pick.
Yeah.
All right, and Lila.
This is hard. I would definitely want some like horror movie icons in there.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Like Freddy Krueger or something, you know?
Nice. Very different fans here. I love all the variation and suggestions. So Dying Light's Battle Royale mode includes 6 players, and Battle Right will have 20. Are there Battle Royale guidelines, or what makes a game a Battle Royale? Lila, why don't you start us off? How would you define a Battle Royale game?
I think a Battle Royale game is a like a mass versus map, pretty much 1 versus 50 to 100. Okay. So I think it would have to be a large map with a lot of players, and I think that's pretty much the basis for it. Like, I think it can go anywhere from there.
Yep. Saira, how would you define it?
I would probably define it as a bunch of people being dropped onto a map and then having to fight for survival.
Okay. And Dante?
I'm not sure how I would define it. I would say that 6 is too small. I don't know what to call that. It's definitely Battle Royale inspired, but
that feels like deathmatch to me. Yeah.
That's just deathmatch. It's deathmatch with some supplies, maybe, but I'm not sure.
So is there a mechanic or feature you'd like to see in a Battle Royale title? What would make the experience better? You know, we saw with Fortnite, they added a building element as one kind of different thing that they tried. So Lila or Saira or Dante, is there anything you guys would like to see added?
I mean, I can jump in with this because I've thought about it. I definitely think that there should be more elements of crowd integration. I think when we're talking about these games that have these huge followings on Twitch and on other live streaming sites, there's a surprising lack of tool sets for those crowds to influence the game. And when we're talking about a genre that's influenced by a bunch of people watching people kill each other, it seems like a missed opportunity to not have something going on there.
All right. Thank you to all our viewers and our guests for being here. Tell us what you're currently working on and where people can find you on social media. And we'll start with Pixzy. Or Lila, I should say. Sorry.
I am currently a live streamer on Twitch TV. It's Pixzy on Twitch. And you'll mostly see me on there making Twitch emotes for other streamers or playing H1Z1.
Great. Thank you. All right, Saira, what are you currently working on and where can people find you online?
Yeah, so you can't find most of my work personally because I'm editing pretty much everyone else's work. So you can check out all of our esports and gaming coverage at .esports.com and /theOP, which is our general gaming site. And you can follow me personally at pretty much every social media at just Saira Mueller.
Great, thank you. All right, Dante, what do you got?
I'm Dante. Pretty much, you can find all of my stuff on my Twitter account. That's twitter.com/videodante. I'm a freelance writer, so I'm writing for a lot of places.
Great. And thanks to everyone who watched, commented, and shared the show. I'm Andy Roman. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and watch Game Talk Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. We'll see you next time.